Sir, who has started? Sir, start ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಡಿ sir.
ಯಾರು? ನಾನು ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಎಲ್ಲಿಂದ?
Broadcasting starting.
ಇಲ್ಲ, ನನ್ನ ಹತ್ರ ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲ್ ಇಲ್ಲ.
Hello, Anjali madam.
Hello, sir.
Broadcast is starting now. How it is telling like this?
Sir, I don't know, sir. Sir, I have made condenser presenter.
I hope we will not mess it up today. Okay.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
You are able to hear me? Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Anjali madam.
Yes, sir. You can
You'll
start,
be
sir.
there until the broadcasting starts. You'll be there, madam. 2 minutes.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. Sir, good evening, Kannan sir.
Yeah. Good evening. You are able to hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sir,
Yeah.
how?
Sorry.
So first, good evening, sir. 1 minute, sir. Hello.
Yeah. Good evening.
Hello. Sir, first you will be introduced. There will be a welcome. There will be an introduction of you, and then questions we will read out from the chat box, and then you will answer that question. Okay, sir.
Yeah. Right.
Because otherwise, it will not be. Hello. Hello. No, I did. That is the problem, no, madam. I did not tell. I don't know how it has started. I have not started actually broadcasting. Okay. 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 Sir, Baliga sir.
Yes.
Anil Baliga sir.
Yes. Yes.
Good evening, Anil. But you please start, sir.
Okay. Now meeting is broadcasted. Meeting is broadcasted. Started.
Yes, sir. Started. You start, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Fine,
Start, sir.
Kaushik, lot of disturbance is coming.
Sir, one is rain in many places actually.
Okay.
I think we can manage hopefully.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
But I am audible,
Yes.
no?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes,
You
sir.
are
Perfect.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Good evening, all, and we are here with 40th QCrete webinar series program. And first of all, I would like to welcome our the main resource person for the day, and he is none other than Engineer L.S. Kannan sir. Sir, welcome to you, sir.
Thank
Kannan
you.
sir, welcome. Yeah.
Yeah.
And at the same time, on behalf of Indian Concrete Institute Mangaluru Center and QCrete Readymix India Private Limited, who's a host, and it is being co-hosted by both these institutions. So on behalf of Indian Concrete Institute Mangaluru Center as well as QCrete, I warmly welcome all the participants and especially the guest or the resource person Kannan sir. And also I would like to request all the participants who are right now online that today's program is an exclusive Q&A session, that is question and answer session on the site related execution on concreting part. So kindly you are requested hereby to mention or type the questions in the chat box under the name organizers and panelists. There's one pull down in which you have to specifically mention organizers and panelists so that it is visible, and kindly send this uh, question and specific questions in the chat box so that we can read out, and we can same time condenser can reply to all your queries. So with this, I would love to conclude the welcome address and request Kaushika sir to carry on with kindly the introductory part of our resource person. Thank you so much.
Good evening. On behalf of QCrete Readymix India Private Limited, I welcome all of you to this unique session where our speaker today, Mr. L.S. Kannan sir, has agreed for a very first of its kind. We have not done anywhere this kind of program. This is the first of this kind of program that we are trying to do. Here, what we are trying to do is a complete question and answer session on the practical aspects of concreting. And before we go to the session, I will just have a small introduction about Mr. L.S. Kannan. Engineer L.S. Kannan has about 30 years of experience in L&T and overall 35 years experience in concrete technology. He has handled and designed concrete mixes for prestigious project sites in India and abroad, including Statue of Unity, world tallest statue. He has designed 3D printable concrete mix and 3D printed G+1 building. His specialization is high strength concrete, M60 and above, pumping concrete for tall tower, 300 meters, and long distance pumping up to 2.5 km. His areas of interest are HPC with alternate materials, studies on durability of concrete, 3D printing, NDT. He has published many papers in national and international conferences related to concrete. He has trained a lot of people in concrete technology, both within his company and outside. He is highly respected as go-to man for any problem in concrete by many consultants across the country. He has handled many concrete projects, mix designs, challenges on site. That is his main strength. And he is currently working as head of concrete management department in L&T. In short, I can say he is one of the most respected and one of the persons who has worked continuously on concrete for last 35-40 years, and he has dedicated himself and committed himself to the concrete technology, and he has done a lot of work. We cannot just encapsulate his works in a small introduction like this. Thank you very much, sir. Welcome, sir. We will start with some of the questions here. As we said, you have to send in the chat box, and we will go on putting these questions to Kannan sir. I hope the first time what we are trying to do this experiment will be successful. And welcome you all. Now, one of the first questions I can ask is, the question is by Mr. Shravan Kumar Raja. He is asking this question: is there any issue if we use 500 kg of cement per cubic meter of pure OPC? I mean to say, I think here I understand like this. The question is, maybe he is asking the question, what is the problem if 500 kgs of OPC is used per cubic meter? I think this is the question.
Yeah, before starting the question answer session, Kaushik has given a brief about me. Actually, myself and Mr. Kaushik, when we had a discussion, he was asking for one more session. But some of the reviews, whatever I have seen, many people have given a response, because that day the seminar, whatever we have conducted, it has happened more than 2 hours, and many people they could not answer, ask a question, and they could not get some feedback. This is what the feedback I got from many of the attendees. So when Mr. Kaushik has asked, I said, why can't we have a session that day, since we could not able to answer many of their queries. We'll have a separate session on whatever we have done on the practical issues that day. In case if people can have, let us make an attempt and see. Let it be only a question answer session of a webinar series about an hour, so that whatever the best answers, or where we will be able to address many of the issues related to concrete what people are facing in the field. That is how this session we have done. Anyhow, let me hope I will do justice for many of your queries. Okay. Now coming to the question. You have asked whether 500 kg of cement can be used in concrete, or in case if it is used, what will happen? As per the codal provisions of IS 456, the maximum allowable OPC content is 450 kg. In case if you are using a cementitious content of 500 kg, it is not a concern where you can use more than 450 kg of cementitious content. In case if what you are talking is 500, if it is OPC, it is not permitted. Only 450 kg is permitted as per the codal provisions. If it is cementitious, then you can use anything above 450. And if you are using only 500 kg of OPC content, there is a concern of, even code also what it says is 450 kg they have given upper limit. And what it says is, in case if the designers have considered the risk of cracking due to heat of hydration, what the cement is going to create in the design, then it permits. It doesn't say that we should not use it. But most of the cases, if you can restrict about 450 kg is well and good. Other than that, in case if you want to go for, we can go with some supplementary materials and we can make a concrete. Yeah.
Okay, sir. I hope it has been answered, Mr. Shravan Kumar Raja. If you have any other question regarding the same, you can ask. Next question, we'll take next question. It is from Sunit Gupta. He says, what care should be taken on beam column junction as far as the grade of concrete is concerned? So this is a regular issue. Somebody uses M25 and columns are M40 or M30 or whatever it is. So maybe Mr. Sunil Gupta is asking this question. Yes, sir.
Yeah, normally the preferences, in case if the designers could able to design for beam and column junctions of the same grade of concrete, it is well and good. Most of the cases, what happens is, due to the loading conditions, the grade of concrete differs. In such cases, wherever you are doing, suppose a column is of a higher grade and beam is of a lower grade, it is better to do the higher grade concrete to some extent of the beam and to have a joint instead of having the lower grade in the column. But it is very difficult to do it. Better to do the column concrete first, allow the concrete to flow in the beam to some extent, then continue with the lower grade concrete in the beam. Because keeping a stopper may not be advisable, and vertical joint you cannot create. So better allow the concrete to have a slope and continue the concrete immediate, so that you will be able to stitch both the concrete and you are ensuring it that lower grade concrete doesn't go inside the column. The same thing happens even in case of a slab, where suppose if I am doing a column capital with the slab, the same issue comes. So do a higher grade concrete in the column capital, allow it to flow in the slab to some extent, maybe 300 or 400 mm, then continue with the lower grade concrete. Ensure it lower grade concrete should not go in the higher grade concrete.
Yes, sir.
But my request is to the structural designers, if possible, try to avoid this, because we may be incurring a little more cost. But in the practical view of point of doing concrete at site, when most of the time when we are doing pumping, it's very difficult for the field engineers to have a control in such situations. If it is possible, please avoid. Otherwise, with the right practices, make the higher grade concrete first, then continue with the lower grade concrete.
Okay, sir. There is a question from another question. Of course, we will try to pick up all the questions. A lot of questions are coming. I will try to pick up questions, most of the questions. I hope we can do justice to all the questions. Next question is, sir, can M60 grade of concrete design can be done without using fly ash? Please elaborate your view on this. This is by Rajendra Sandani. Mr. Rajendra Sandani has asked this question. Can we do M60 concrete without using fly ash?
We can. It is not that we cannot produce it. It again depends on the workability, what you are looking for. Suppose if I are using an M60 grade concrete with a microsilica content, with a microsilica you can make it, avoiding fly ash. 450 kg of cement plus maybe around 30 to 40 kg of microsilica, maybe keeping your cementitious content to the extent of 480 kg to 500 kg, you can make it out. It all depends on what workability you expect. Suppose if you want a high flow concrete, then without fly ash it may not be possible. In case if you are going for a precast element or something, where you can work with 120 mm or 150 mm slum concrete, it is possible to use. It all depends on what type of workability you expect and what is the shape of the structure or how you want to place and compact the concrete. It is possible, but it is advisable to go with fly ash so that the concrete can be because you need not add excessive microsilica also. Even though with the microsilica, with the OPC, we can make M60 grade concrete. Adding excessive microsilica also will create a trouble because it needs an extended mixing time and it may demand a higher admixture dosage. In case if the mixing is not happened proper, you will have undispersed microsilica what is available in concrete. That may create concrete in future some trouble. That is what the literature review says. Undispersed microsilica can be determinant to concrete in future.
Sir, thank you. I hope Mr. Rajendra Sandani is happy with the answer. The next question is from Mr. K.R. Biju. He is asking, you have fly ash and you have GGBS. Which is preferable in moderate exposure condition? Like in a place like Bangalore or Hyderabad, what do you prefer to use? He wants his personal opinion on this. Yes.
Now, whether it is fly ash or slag, both are beneficial to concrete. Okay, it is again depends on the type of structure what you use, and suppose if you are making a tall tower, if you were doing a tower of more than 100 meters, then the preference should be given to fly ash, because even though slag is very good in getting strength and other things, it may create friction to the pipeline and pumping of concrete may be difficult. It needs unless you take much care. So go with the fly ash is beneficial. Otherwise, depending upon the grade of concrete and the substitution level, you can use either fly ash or slag. In case if you are using slag, go for the maximum substitution. See, you can go up to 50% substitution level, so that we can make the mix design more optimum and economical. So depending upon the grade you can select, and depending on the availability. Both are beneficial.
Yes, sir.
Only thing is, in case if you are going with a fly ash, ensure the fly ash is conforming to 3812 part 1 class F, which is collected only through electrostatic precipitators. Ensure the fly ash is of a good quality.
Yes, sir. Sir, one of the questions from Naresh Shanbag, I hope I'll be able to properly read and make the question clear to you. He has asked this question, sir, for sloped slab contractor, asking twice rate for centering works. Is that correct demand? I think this is not the, see, what we are requesting all our participants is kindly ask the questions not on this kind of rate and things like that. More technical questions are welcome. Anyway, Mr. L.S. Kannan can, if he can answer this.
And
The question again.
yeah, probably what he mean is in a sloped slab whether I need to go for a top shutter. That is what he means by twice the shutter.
Yes.
Am I right?
The contractor is asking double the, actually. He's asking more, he's demanding more rate for slope shuttering. Twice the rate he is asking.
Twice the rate,
For a
which
sloped
definitely
concrete.
I will not be able. Definitely I will not be able to answer to this question because it is related to the former system. Because normally for a sloped roof system, definitely you need more of a support for making. That again depends on what slope, how much of slope that you are making in the slab. Okay. That need to be addressed case to case, because related to the former cost and other thing, I don't have much of an idea. I'm sorry, I will not be able to answer to this. Hello. Hello. Kaushik. Hello. Hello. Kaushik.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now you can answer. Yes. We have some network problem. Can you please answer now? Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's what. See, the question is related to the former cost.
Yes. Yes, sir.
See,
Yes, sir.
it again depends on what type of slope of the slab that you are going to make, because I don't have much of an idea about former cost system and all. In case if
Yes,
depending on the slope, in case if you want to go with the top shutter, then depending on the slope you can decide. But cost I will not be able to answer because I don't have much of idea about the former system.
yes, sir. Can we take the next question? We'll take the next question. Abhishek Yamal. He's asking how to do redosing and when.
Redosing of admixture as well as possible try to avoid. In unavoidable circumstances, you can do the redosing at site. Okay. Even if you want to go with the redosing, generally do the trial in the initial phase, find out how much of redosing is possible. Normally, in my experience, you should not redose more than 0.2% of the admixture other than what you have added in the batching plan. In case if you want to go with the redosing, normally what happens is when the transit mixers reach a site, if it is a full truck waiting for a longer period and if workability is lost, it is very easy for us to redose because we know what is the quantum of concrete available in the transit mixer, so that we can calculate either 0.1 or 0.2. 0.2 is max. Don't go with 0.2 immediately. Go with 0.1. Find out what is the workability we need. So measure the admixture, bring the concrete to the mouth of the transit truck, dose it, rotate it for 5 minutes. At least 70 revolutions the drum has to rotate. Then only the overall admixture will get mixed with the concrete. Okay. Normally people will say you add 5 liters of water and don't do that. Bring the concrete to the mouth, dose it. Because if you are adding water again, 5 liters water, people will say nothing is going to happen. But don't do that. Because we'll start with 5 liters, then people will add more to middle concrete. Don't practice that. So bring the concrete to the mouth, add the admixture, rotate it for 70 revolutions, then pump the concrete. At the maximum, don't exceed 0.2. Instead of that, while doing the mix itself at the batching plant, suppose if you know I'm going to handle concrete up to 3 hours or 4 hours at site after transit. That means including my mixing time, transit time and handling time. Suppose if I want 4 hours, design the mix itself to have that slump up to 4 hours. In such cases, a question will come. Suppose your concrete reaches early, 2 hours at site, and where I am able to consume within half an hour. What is the condition of concrete? Nothing will happen. To prove that, Take sample at every half an hour interval. Prove that there is no difference in strength. Only there is an increase in workability in the initial phases. The performance of the concrete is good. This is how we can manage. But try to avoid whatever you want to do in the initial phase. Take the concrete design in the initial phase itself. Do it, because if any error happens at the dosing at site, the concrete will go for a sixer. If proper redosing is not done, then definitely problems will happen. Earlier code has not given provision. Now code has given a provision in case if you have a systematic method of redosing it. Okay. Study yourself thoroughly about the effects of redosing. Make yourself ready, but try to avoid by designing a mixes what you need till what time you want to handle it, so that you can avoid unwanted disturbing concrete at site.
Okay, sir. Okay. Next question. Thank you, sir. Design of higher grade of concrete. Mr. Praveen Naik is asking this question. Design of higher grade of concrete above 100 MPa, apart from cement and cementitious content and aggregate, what extra care has to be taken to achieve the required strength? Question asked by Praveen Naik. Shall I repeat the question again?
Yeah, not an issue. Basically,
Yeah.
when you are designing a grade of concrete more than M100, the first issue, any concrete, if you are designing more than M80 itself, I'll say, right from selection of material, you have to be very, very careful. It is not that every material what is available is suitable to make a high strength concrete. So we have to be very careful in selection of cement itself, quality of fly ash. You should go for ultra fine fly ash. You have to go with the proper microsilica addition. You have to select the right admixture. Even your aggregates, especially, the impact value should be as low as possible. And you should go for a little coarser sand with a finest modulus of something around 2.9 to 3. With a proper mixed design, we can make it out, because most of the cases we are going to work with a very low water cement ratio, maybe around 0.23 or 0.22. So selection of material is very concerned, and consistency of material is also important. It is not that you are made once in the lab. Suppose if you want to produce a concrete consistency in the batching plant, your batching plant itself need to be selected in the right way. That means you have to go with the twin shaft mixer. Your mixing time should be perfect. And when you are mixing it in the plant and the concrete is coming out, it should be uniform. So all the batches uniformity also need to be maintained. So whatever concrete you are making more than M80, lot of care need to be taken right from selection, mixing, production, and more than that, handling concrete in the field is also more essential. Otherwise, whatever you have intended strength, that may not come. But one thing all of us, we need to understand, whatever precautions we take in the high strength concrete, there will be fluctuations in strength, where if you go with M90 or M100 grade concrete, your 28 days results may not be, some cases, touch whatever the strength we need. In such scenarios, always ensure that you are testing the concrete on a later on 56 days or 90 days strength, because since you are going to have meddle with a lot of supplementary materials for making this concrete, later on strength is more important than 28 days. So 28 days always you will have fluctuations. That doesn't mean you should get panic. Your 56 days results definitely you will get, because we are already, because all of us, we know the hydration matrix itself, water, what is needed is something around 0.23, where we are going to work below that. So we need to be very, very careful in making the whole process.
So next question again, this question is related to column beam junction. Actually, there are several questions on the column beam junction. So Mr. Sudarshan SK is asking this question. If we pour higher grade concrete in column beam junction and then other concrete stopper placing and removing is very difficult and cold joints are formed, how to avoid it? Even vibrating around will also disturb higher grade of concrete. So this again is a question related to column beam junction, higher grade, lower grade. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Please check the initial setting time of higher strength concrete. Okay. normally when you admix a concrete, because without admixture we are not doing any concrete. When you admix a concrete, generally the initial setting time of an admixture concrete will be around 5.5 to 6 hours. In case of an M30 or M40 grade concrete, when the grade goes more, even it goes up to 8 hours. So what you have to do is check the initial setting time of concrete, because the initial setting time is nothing but the so-called vibration limit, where you will be able to disturb the surface so that the stitching of concrete can happen. If you are able to stitch the old concrete and new concrete, then there is no question of cold joint. Definitely, you will not be able to fix the stopper and make a vertical surface, as I said earlier. Allow the concrete to flow in slope, stitch it on the top. That is the best way of doing it in a beam column, because especially in a beam, inserting a vertical stopper and removing it is very difficult. Allow the concrete to flow in slope, then stitch it. Ensure it that you are able to place the concrete before the initial setting time. The best way is, even though whatever test that you are doing at lab, make a small block at site, keep on vibrating it with a needle of 40 mm or a 60 mm. Find out when the vibrator head is able to create a hole. That means it is not able to close the hole when you compact it and remove it. That means, suppose if this is a vibrator, you are vibrating it. When you are taking out, the hole should get closed. If the hole is not closed and the hole is remaining as it is, take that as an initial setting time. Before that, you have to place the subsequent concrete. In any case, if you are able to pour within 4 hours, there is no question of any cold joint formation, since we are adding an admixed concrete. This is applicable in all cases. Wherever you are assuming that the cold joint will form, do this test, place the concrete before that. Your core planning is very essential. With a proper planning, we can avoid cold joint.
Yes, sir. Next question is Mohammed Shamshad Alam is asking, we need a retention time of concrete more than 3 hours, approximately more than 3 hours, maybe 4 hours. How can we manage this? This is the question by Mohammed Shamshad Alam.
That's what I said no earlier also. See, you select a proper admixer, discuss with an admixer vendor to have a admixer which can give around 4 hours or 5 hours retention, and do the mix design. Only in that case, ensure it you are not redosing the concrete always. You are making the product workable up to 5 hours. See, suppose if you want 4 hours concrete, 0 minute or 1 hour or 2 hours, the concrete will be slightly bleeding. Bleeding means you will not be able to see water. Some amount of slurry separation will happen in the concrete. You have to design the mix in such a way the mix is totally collapse in the initial phase. Suppose if I am handling after 3 hours or 4 hours, then only the realistic performance of slump, what is needed, need to be checked. Don't discard the concrete mix in the initial phase, since it is slurry separation, and saying that it is bleeding. Ensure the concrete is having the required parameters of workability at what interval that we want to place it. Suppose after 3 hours you want 180 mm slump or 200 mm slump. Whether are you able to get a slump of 180 millimeter or 200 millimeter at 3 hours, and the concrete is very cohesive without any bleeding segregation. That is more important. So when you want an extended retention, naturally in the initial phase it should be a free flow concrete. Even though you have not designed for a free flow, due to admixer variations, it will be a free flow. Discuss with the admixer vendor, have a proper retarder, and return it. Because for your information, I can say we have designed, we did the job in Bombay where the self-compacting concrete was retained for 8 hours. So 8 hours, 700 mm flow, we retained the concrete, and that too it's a temperature controlled concrete. So we discussed with the admixer vendor manufacturer. Then a special admixer was made to suit that requirement, and we could able to do the concrete up to 7.5 to 8 hours at right.
Next question. The question is from Niyasuddin. He asks, how to avoid cracks on slabs. Somewhere or the other, the cracks appear. So this is what approximately the question of Niyasuddin. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Cracks means last time also we had a discussion. There are two types of crack what generally happens when the concrete is in the green state. One is plastic shrinkage, other one is plastic settlement. Most of the cases what happened is when we place a concrete in the slab, after some time we used to see some water sheen on the top. When the water sheen comes, we also see some hair cracks happens on the surface. Generally, these cracks or shrinkage cracks due to the evaporation of water from the surface, it happens. Don't get panic. Please wait till the water sheen evaporates. Send a mason back with a wooden float, not with the steel float or a steel trowel or any steel component. He has to go with a wooden float. Ask him to tap the entire surface of the slab. That means if it is a slab, he has to tap like this. Tap the entire surface, finish like this in a circular way. The whole slab area. By doing that, what happens is you are ensuring it, whatever cracks has formed, you are able to close the crack, because the crack, whatever we have seen, that is hardly 3 to 4 millimeter only would have penetrated, and the width may be less than 1 millimeter, 1 or 0.2 millimeter. Even it may not be even 0.2 millimeter. It's a hairline crack. So you'll be able to close it. So this exercise has to happen after 3 to 4 hours of concrete placement. Then wait till you are able to get the touch art state, because when you touch like this, your finger impression should not fall. That condition, when it comes, start sprinkling water and start curing it. Best thing is, after the secondary finish, cover the entire surface with a hessian cloth or a plastic sheet. You are ensuring it the water doesn't evaporate from the surface. Whenever there is a moisture loss from the surface tries to shrink and the crack develops. Just a minute.
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yes, sir. Same question.
Same thing.
There is
same thing. Oh, 1 minute. Let me complete. Same thing for a plastic settlement, where you will be able to see straight line cracks in the as reinforcement bars visible. That is nothing but the reinforcement is rigid and the concrete has settled in the area where you have a higher slump concrete or the thickness of the concrete is less. Whenever you see such phenomena, this can happen between 30 minutes to 2 hours of concrete placement in the slab or a raft. Place concrete on the same surface, revibrate it, where you can avoid plastic settlement. These are the major two phenomena which can happen. In case if you have not attended plastic shrinkage cracks, normally what happened is the crack penetrate to the depth of the slab and it may lead to seepage or dampness, what we can see at the bottom of the slab in future.
Thank you, sir. I think there is a next question. There is a twist. The question asked by Sudarshan SK. He says same question on cracks. Even after curing started, immediately a lot of shrinkage cracks which are across the slab or form. Reasons and solution for the problem. Can we make concrete supplier responsible?
Concrete supplier in what way is responsible? Once the concrete is mixed up with your requested slump, his responsibility ends. Because normally it is not that, don't think that I'm supporting RMC vendors. Okay, this is the common phenomenon of what every one of us we face at time. Normally cracks in concrete happens after placement of concrete. It is not during mixing or something. Okay, after placement, that too, where your ambient condition is more than 20 or your wind velocity is more than 15 kilometers per hour. What personally I have observed is concrete which have left unattended at night time, because generally all of us we think the sunlight is not there, nothing is going to happen to the concrete. Every one of us we forget wind is there at night. The wind carries a lot of water from the surface. So whatever concrete we poured in the daytime left unattended at night lead to a lot of shrinkage cracks than whatever concrete we are doing in the night time. Most of the cases what happened is for the slab leakage, Many of the occasions, what happened is, if somebody sees a crack on the slab, immediately they will try to pour some cement slurry or powder cement on the top to cover. No, my client will shout, let me just close. Don't do that. Concrete means it will crack in the initial phase due to volume change, due to water loss. As I said, please follow the practice of delayed finish and early curing. You will never find cracks. If delayed finishing is not done, or during night time, my concrete is completed up to evening 5 o'clock. Everyone, we left the slab as it is and gone. Even no curing, nothing, assuming that it is night time. Definitely wind will carry all the water, crack will happen on the slab. That crack, if it is undetected, it will percolate and the concrete will leak. So whether it is day or night, concrete doesn't know day or night. So we need to protect the concrete in a right way, whether it is daytime or nighttime. Follow the practice of delayed finishing or early curing. We can avoid crack. If delayed finishing is not done or early curing is not done, you might have done curing of concrete in the, suppose today evening 5 o'clock you have completed concrete, you left the slab as it is and started curing next day. By the time the damages happen to the concrete, which is unnoticed. So what will happen is, when you desaturate, naturally the concrete would have percolated to the bottom. So it will lead to leak, even though you have started curing within 24 hours. It is not 24 hours. Within 5 or 6 hours after the placement of concrete, you start sprinkling water or cover it, by which you can avoid. Because this is what badly I have learned personally at site when I worked at site.
Sir, thank you, sir. Next question is a very interesting question. Because nowadays it is, I can say, it is a fashion for everybody to go for accelerated curing test. Mr. Praveen Naik is asking this question about accelerated curing test. Up to which grade of concrete we can do accelerated curing test?
One thing I would like to say, whatever the graph provided in for accelerated curing, as per IS, it is only meant for OPC. Okay. It is not meant for fly ash or slag, because still we don't have graph correlation for fly ash or slag. So the general tendency of the people is, whatever concrete I am making it, if I am accelerated curing it, and I can apply the regression equation what is given, I can extrapolate the value. Don't do that. Instead of that, check for 1 day strength, 3 day strength, and 7 day strength. With normally any concrete you do, it will gain around 16 to 25% strength on 1 day. Normally it gains around 40 to 50% strength on 3rd day, 60 to 75% seventh on 7th day. So if you are able to correlate 1, 3, and 7 day strength, in case if you are able to predict what is the gain in strength, you can predict your 28-day strength tentatively. Okay. Especially for blended cements, don't go for accelerated curing. It is not going to give the value, but many people will say, no, whatever value I have predicted, I am getting it. But the regression equation, what is available, it is only for OPC and it is not for blended cement. Try to avoid. It's better to go with a normal curing, because we have a lot of time available with us. Instead of that, I can suggest one more thing also. If you refer the old MS Shetty book, there is a test called King's accelerated cycle test, even though it is not a well adopted test, where you need to make a concrete. It is, I think, page number 272 or 276 in the old book of Professor MS Shetty, Concrete Technology. This test is given, where you need to make a concrete within 30 minutes of concrete production. The top of the concrete, the cube mold, also need to be closed with the plate. Then you have to put it inside a oven. Then you have to raise the temperature of concrete to 93 degrees. I think in 2 hours time, you have to increase it. Then you have to maintain that 93 degrees for 3 hours. Then remove it. Then allow it to cool for half an hour. Then do the test. It has got a correlation curve. Clearly, it gives the value, whatever we are getting it, equivalent to our 28 days and maybe 1 or 2 MPa is the difference. This I have practiced it when I worked in project sites where new cements were supplied, where we are able to take a call. So we have done some tests and it was successful. After say what I'm talking is what I have practiced it 20 years back. After that, I have not used that test anymore. This also can be tried, but try to avoid accidental curing test in the initial phase. Wait for 1 day, 3 days, 7 days results. With a normal curing, use the much better idea on development.
Yes, sir. Next question is by Tajuddin. Very interesting question. Because once the concrete, ready-mix concrete is produced, even once the truck releases the concrete into the pump, and then at the time of pumping, or just before pumping, some handling or mishandling of concrete can take place. So this is regarding this question. I think he's asking, what are the precautions done on the ready-mix concrete pumping condition? Means what are the precautions that we have to take during pumping, at the point of pumping, and things like that. Yes, Tajuddin KM.
Yeah, as I said, why people should manhandle the concrete at site. If you are able to give them the right workability, nobody is going to do any adulteration of concrete. Generally, what happens is people will order concrete. Say, for instance, a slab concrete, if somebody is ordering. Ready-mix manufacturer also, what they will do is, I have 10 trucks, I'll load all the 10 trucks and I'll make the concrete standing at site. If you're doing a slab concrete, people cannot consume more than 15 to 20 cubic meter per hour. Don't dump concrete at site. Don't allow the truck to wait for more than half an hour or 1 hour at site. So you plan your concrete accordingly, the supply accordingly. Then you can avoid unwanted additions. That is case number 1. 2 is, generally transit truck has got a water tank in the front. We used to fill water tank with full of water, aiming that after unloading of concrete, the driver will wash. What happens is, when the workability of concrete is less, or the general people's tendency is, if concrete is more watery, the pump will be able to pump. Most of the cases, what happened is, whatever the slump we have designed, 150 mm or 200 mm slump of concrete for a cohesivity, generally what happens is, at field after placement, even the workmen, they are not ready to level the concrete. They want the concrete also to get leveled selfly. They want a self-level concrete. So everywhere, people started middling concrete, by which we are losing things. So what you do is, don't fill the drum with water. Instead of that, wherever you are supplying concrete, ask the person who is taking concrete to provide water for washing, by which you can avoid unwanted addition. What happened is, if somebody is pouring water externally, you will come to know. If the same transit mixer operator is dosing water from the truck to the drum inside, it is unnoticed, because what happens is, top you can see a spray, the water just like that, it goes inside without notice of anyone. So don't fill the truck first from your side, so that you are ensuring nobody is not disturbing the concrete. To avoid the situation, regulate your supply, design a mix with a proper slump with a proper retarder, whatever time, transit time and handling time you want, make it out, so that you can avoid unwanted additions.
Okay, sir. I think
And one more thing also, most of the cases, RMC, your operator is only going to pump concrete. In case if your RMC operator is going to pump concrete, please instruct all your pump operators, this is what is the quality of concrete, what we are going to supply and what you have to pump. Don't unnecessarily middle. Because in one of the cases in Hyderabad, I'll say, this is, I think, 2008, I think. That time PCL mixers were started coming to the market. We supplied an M60 grade concrete to one of the customer when we have an RMC. We made a concrete, and I called all the transit mixer drivers and I showed the concrete. because all of us we know with the PC based mixer, with the tensotrophy, the concrete moves and it gives a slump. We may not be able to feel it has got the realistic slump flow. All the transit mixers drivers, they said, no sir, this concrete I cannot take. Pump operator said, no, I cannot take. We took a slump and shown the concrete. I asked all the people, what is the slump? They said it is zero slumper. But when I shown them a slump of 230 millimeter with the concrete, everybody got shocked. I said, this is what is the concrete you people are going to handle. Don't unnecessarily add water by seeing the condition of concrete, by which successfully I could able to supply around 10,000 cubic meter of concrete of that grade. Educate your transit mixer drivers, pump operators with the type of concrete what you are going to supply. Unfortunately, the concrete quality is in the hands of unwanted people.
Thank you very much, sir. I hope the question has been answered. The next question is about cement grades. I will just read what has been stated here by Mr. Sudesh R. is the questioner. He's asking this question: why only OPC cement bags having 33, 43, 53 grades? In case of PPC bags, we won't find the grades. Why it is so? Also, what is the company criteria for PPC manufacturing? So he's asking why numbers of 33, 43 is written on bags of OPC, not on PPC. Yes, sir.
Yeah, OPC, as per the Indian standard conditions, they have 3 different grades: 33 grade, 43 grade, 50 grade. When it comes to PPC cement or slag cement, we are having an addition of fly ash or slag with it, where the content of fly ash or the content of addition of fly ash with the OPC clinker can range between 15% to 35%. But in general, most of the cases, people are manufacturing with 28 to 30, 33%. That is the reason even code itself has given a provision for 33 grade. The minimum strength should be equal to 33 grade. In case of a PPC, in case of a slag also it is 33, because the addition can go up to 25 to 70. But most of the manufacturers, they go with 55 to 58%, 50 to 58% of slag addition. As per the codal requirement, it should be only 33. So we cannot expect even some, due to manufacturing process, some cements gives a higher strength of 43, 53 and all. But you cannot classify them as 43 or 53. In case if there is a reduction, always as per the codal provisions, it has to satisfy only 33, not 43 or 53. Due to some processes, people are giving a higher supply. Whenever higher supply is coming, you can take it, but you can't take that as a 43 grade cement as a 53 grade cement similar to your OPC. You have to treat them only as a 33 grade cement as per the codal provisions.
Sir, next question is from Mr. Sunil Mehra. Very interesting question. He is asking: in designing concrete structures, normally maximum aggregates sizes are adopted with ranges from 10 mm to 20 mm. Does an increase in maximum aggregate size benefit the structures? Maybe he's asking benefit the concrete making or concrete mix design, something like that. Yes.
Yeah, provision is there for adopting 40 mm aggregate in concrete, especially in foundations. But majority of the things, what happened is, most of the concrete, whatever we are doing is we are pumping, mechanized today. Even if when we talk about a 40 mm concrete, when you look into the sieve analysis of 40 mm aggregate, the next highest sieve is 63 millimeter, it has to pass 100%, and 40 mm it has to retain 85 to 100%. That means 15% overseas can be there in 40 millimeter aggregate. This 15%, whatever we are talking, is between the range of 40 to 63. When you talk about the maximum size of aggregate, what can be used for concrete as per the codal provisions, what it says is the maximum size of aggregate can be 1/4 of the dimensions of the form. That means if the thickness is 200, then you can go up to 50 millimeter, but you have rebar. Okay. The second criteria, what they say is 5 mm less than the clear spacing between the rebar. That means 2 reinforcement. Generally, reinforcements are placed at center to center distance, not the center to center. 2 reinforcement. Suppose if these are the 2 bar, what is this spacing? Not from center to center. This spacing, whatever it is, -5. and it shows about, suppose if this is the rebar and this is your former, the space between former and rebar -5, cover -5. These are all can be the maximum size what has been provided. In case if most of the concrete is pumped up, the provision for pumping of concrete is 1/3 of the largest diameter of the pipeline through which the concrete is passed. Most of the cases we are using 5-inch diameter pipeline. That means it is roughly around 125 millimeter. So you can use around 40 mm size of aggregate. But in 40 mm aggregate also what happened is, as I said earlier, which has got around 15% oversize, which can be up to 63 millimeter. Suppose if you have a 50 millimeter aggregate, also since 63 mm 100% passing, that 50 mm one aggregate can choke your pipeline. That is one of the reason mostly even 40 mm aggregates are not used for concrete. In case if you want to use a higher size aggregate, probably we have to increase the pipeline from 6 inches to 8 inches. Normally 200 mm dia pipeline is very rarely available. What happened is or 6 inches 150, that is also very rarely people are using it. Ensure 100% it is passing 40 mm. That means your aggregate is 100% 40 means roughly in the range of 35 to 38 millimeter will be your size. Okay, that is that you are ensuring it. And even in that case also, you can have a substitution range of something around 30% max. Not like how we are adding 20 mm aggregate of 60% or 70% or 50%. You restrict your 40 mm aggregate size to 30%. The remaining aggregate of 20 and 10 can be in the range of 30, 40 or 40, 30. That means 30, 40, 30 like that. Have a proper grading which is fitting to the graded limitations of 40 mm aggregate. And fit the curve to the oil and aggregate grading and can be used. Mainly due to pumping issues only we are avoiding maximum size. And in today's scenario, what happened is the congestion of steel reinforcement is also very high due to the seismic design. Even 20 mm aggregate also in most of the cases we are unable to place. That is one of the reason we are restricting ourselves in most of the cases with 20 mm aggregate, or in some cases where we are going with the self-comparting concrete with the 12 mm aggregate or a 10 mm aggregate.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Next question is by Shravan Kumar Raja. Actually, Mr. Shravan Kumar Raja has several questions. I'm afraid we cannot answer all these questions. A lot of questions from a lot of people. And I am picking up one question from Shravan Kumar Raja. Sir, is there any possibility of pumpable making concrete M10 concrete pumpable PCC? If possible, how much water cement ratio will be used? If we used with admixture or without admixture, will use it has to be used because it is a PCC for raft foundation. This is what the question is. Yeah.
Yeah. If you want to pump any concrete, if you refer to the pump manufacturer's requirement, am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
If you refer to the pump manufacturer's manual, for pumping any concrete, you need minimum 280 kg of cement or cementitious material. In case of an M10 grade concrete, it is only 220 kg, which generally will have a slump of around 30 to 40 millimeter with a water cement ratio of roughly around 0.68. Okay. So have your cementitious composite up to 280 or 300 kg. Not necessarily you have to go with full cement. You increase your content up to 300 kg. Substitute with the fly ash of 35%. So you can have roughly around 195 kg of cement and 105 kg of fly ash, which you can, with a water cement ratio of roughly around 0.68, you can make a mixed design with the normal plasticizer and do. Otherwise, what you can do is you can restrict up to 280 kg, add some air entrained admixture. Since most of the cases the PC is used for leveling course, you can add some air entrained admixture to the concrete so that the concrete mix becomes cohesive and you can pump. In all these cases, keep sufficient sand content so that the mix is not segregating when it is getting pumped because you are already operating with a very low cementitious composite.
Yes, sir.
But in any
Next.
cases, don't restrict your cementitious content less than 280, which is not pumpable.
Sir, next question is from Muhammad Junaid Siddiqui. He is asking this question. The structural designer has given an M25 grade of concrete. From RMC, we received an M25 grade of concrete. After 1 month by NDT, we got the strength of 25 MPa only. Is this safe? What happened to FCK plus 1.65S?
Whatever we are talking about FCK plus 1.65S is only for the laboratory strength. It is not for field strength. Field strength has to satisfy only FCK. Even if you refer that too for a cube, not in the NDT part of it. Suppose if you are taking a core is you have to refer only to 25 and not FCK, not to your target strength. Okay. Even if you refer IS 456, what this says is the concrete is accepted based on 28 days results, what is stipulated as per table 2. In case of an acceptance criteria of the cubes, it says it has to give 4 consecutive non-overlapping results, has to give FCK plus 3. That's all. In case if you are going for an NDT, it has to give, suppose if you are going for a core should give only 80% results of 85% of the results of your cube. That means M25 means 85% of the core results only has to give. Even if you refer to class number 17.2 or 17.3, if I remember right, for core testing, 3 core when you take a test, it should give a strength of around 85% of your FCK. Out of 3, 1 can be 75%. In an average, it should give around 85%. Not necessarily you have to meet the target. Target is only for the laboratory criteria. In all other situations, only FCK, that is your characteristics and alone is the criteria for acceptance, not the targets.
Okay, sir. Next question is again, the question is important question by just on site, how we have to do when we are producing concrete, how we have to do moisture control. Naresh Shanbag is the person who is asking this question. He has also asked another question. Please elaborate on corrosion resistant epoxy coat on rebars. Anyway, moisture correction will take first. Yes.
Okay, moisture correction normally need to be done. Generally, the practice is people do the moisture correction only once in the daytime and we forget it. When the temperature goes up, again there will be a difference. And not only that, moisture corrections, in case if you are taking it, we are taking the sample from the stockyard and we are checking the moisture. But the actual thing is you have to take the moisture from the stock as well as from the bin where the concrete is getting batched. Take an average and find out. Even in that case also, even after making the correction, dual correction, make 1 or 2 batches and adjust the workability because there will be fluctuations in moisture than what we have calculated in the initial phase with the stack. And make it as a practice to check the moisture in the afternoon or where the sunlight is more. Definitely the aggregates will be dry. So whatever moisture corrections we done in the initial phase may not happen in the afternoon time. Definitely there will be a loss in moisture, which will reduce your workability because naturally the aggregate also will heat it up. There will be a difference. In case of a monsoon where rain has happened, please have a check of the moisture and correct it. In all these phenomena, whatever moisture corrections, in a practical way, if you ask for, what I will say is, suppose if you are doing in a summer time, suppose you got a moisture in the sand of 4%. It's only a rough calculation what I'm talking, 4% in sand. You adjust the corrections up to 3% because there will be some fluctuations. In case of rain, where your moisture is, you are finding around 5%. Do the correction for 6% because always there will be an increase in water. 1% plus in case of monsoon. In case of a dry situation, reduce it and do it. Because what I'm talking is there will be fluctuations what is going to happen. Because many people will not agree. No, why I should reduce it? Because in a continuous production plant, adjusting moisture, checking and doing for every batch is difficult. So this plus minus 1%, even if you take, if you really compare the allowable tolerance, what is given in batching of water itself, this will be within the limitation. So that call can be taken with a practical experience, and the moisture corrections can be done. But moisture correction has to be done. Otherwise, your workability will either increase or decrease, where the concrete quality will deteriorate.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Very short answer. Probably Mr. Naresh Schronberg again has asked another question. Please elaborate on corrosion resistant coat, epoxy coat on rebars. Even though it is not directly related. Yeah.
Corrosion resistant coat, epoxy bar, I'll not be, because I have not experienced it here. I will not be able to answer this. Because many of the phenomena, what happens is in general structures, we are not using any of the corrosion resistant bars. Normally, some of the cases, what happened is even if the rebar is exposed for a longer time, some of the consultants or clients, they say you go with some cement coating. Because I have not used any corrosion resistant epoxy coated bars, because I don't have much of a exposure to that. Generally, in bridge structures, it is being used, not in a regular structural concrete. Generally, bridge structures they call for, and it is being used. I don't have much of an exposure to this.
Okay.
In case if you want an exposure, go with the cement coat and use it.
Thank you, sir. Anyway, this is not directly related to the subject which we are talking about. Thank you, sir. One small question, which is little the person is asking about a particular product itself. I will read it as it is without changing the question. Mr. Sudesh R asks this question directly. Is it compulsory to use Dr. Fix-It like chemical in normal construction? What is the technical reason behind it? So I think he's asking about a waterproofing compound or something like that from Dr. Fix-It. That is what I feel Mr. Sudesh is asking. Yes.
It again depends upon your specification, what is written here. Because I'll not be able to exactly say why your consultant has given or your contract says Dr. Fix-It need to be used. Because most of the cases, as also last time I said, specification specify certain products for usage. If your specifications calls for an addition of a certain component, please use it, or before taking the job itself, please ask for an alternate. In case if you don't want to use, or if you have a better product, something, ask for a clarification and use it. It all depends on the project specification.
Okay, sir. Again, this is again another question, probably related more to absorption, moisture, etc. and slump. Anjali Jaglan has asked this question. The desired slump for M25 concrete mix was not obtained even after applying water absorption and moisture corrections for the aggregates. What should be done to get the desired slump? Anjali Jaglan is.
What is the slump? What is the slump you are expecting?
No, I think she has not specified. In spite of all the applications of water absorption, everything, slump is not coming on site. That's what for M25. What should we do? She is asking.
Yeah, most of the cases, what I have seen is, even though M25 grade concrete, suppose that depending upon the exposure conditions, suppose most of the cases it is moderate, where the construction is happening, where we can go with the maximum water percentage of 0.5. People generally go with the very low water content, because if you refer to IS 10262, they says by experience this much of water is used, by experience this much of admixture is used. Like that, some classes are there. People say my experience is I am doing M25 with the 0.36, which is not at all required. So you are not adding sufficient water content what is needed for making a concrete, because your durability parameter, in case if it is moderate, I'm not blaming IS 10262, because depending on it shows about the experience and the person who is doing concrete with their exposure level. They says you can go with an assumption what you have done. But for an M25 grade concrete and all, never go with a very low water cementitious ratio, because in case of a moderate exposure, where you can go with 0.5, because that is what is generally prevailing. With respect to the grade of concrete, what is possible, have sufficient free water content. Don't reduce your free water content too much, because what happened is, by making moisture corrections again, even though you are adding water absorption, in case of a sand, if you go with a crusher sand, maybe 2%, you are adding 800 kg, let me assume 16 liters of water, what you are going to add as an absorption. Suppose if your moisture is 4%, you are going to reduce that to liters of water. Okay. And if you are using a free water of say around 150, 155, you are going to use hardly 120 liters of water, even after making corrections. Even by making, what happened is, your water absorption and water moisture corrections, even if you make it as a whole 16 liters of water, what you are going to reduce it from 155, hardly around 139 or 138 liters of water only what you are going to use. So 138 liters of water naturally will give you a lesser slump. Probably the water cement ratio or free water content what you have assumed could be much lower than what is needed. Unless we look into the mixed design parameters, we'll not be able to say, because most of the cases this could be the reason for your workability, what you are not able to achieve, because even after making your absorption and moisture corrections, probably the free water content what you have assumed could be much lower than what is needed.
Thank you, sir. Just
Kaushik, it's 7:15.
Can we take one at least two questions, sir? Two questions.
Yeah, maybe by 7:30 we'll close. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Mr. Ravi Rega is asking this question: how we will achieve uniform color for form finish exposed concrete elements? Only use single source of material, or any other options available to achieve good finish without bug holes? Mr. Ravi Rega is asking this question. Yes.
No, even if you are using material from single source, aggregate you can get from single source. Crusher sand, definitely there will be some variations in crusher sand. Cement, even if you are getting from single source, some variations in color will happen. Even same cement will not be uniform from batch to batch. So there will be some variations. So some fluctuations can happen in par finish concrete. It is not that we can't say 100% we will be able to match the color from first week to the second week or first day to the second day, because there will be some variations happens in material itself, which all of us we need to agree.
Okay.
Added to this, the form release agent or the type of former what we use also has a major impact on form finish. The type of form what we use. If the formwork is not cleaned proper, it is going to create an issue. If the form oil application is too high, it is going to entrap air, which is going to have air bubble in it. Application of form oil is going to create an issue. The mix design, if the mix is bleeding, it is going to entrap air. It is going to create an issue, bug holes. Moreover, when placing concrete, if the concrete is not placed proper, if you are placing the concrete near to the shutter, or the shutter is getting also vibrated during compaction, definitely there will be some color change. So all this phenomena, it's going to have an issue. If you want to have a fair finish concrete, you have to write up all the necessary precautions what is need to be done, and it should be done in a slow and steady manner. You cannot just like that dump concrete and produce fair finish. If you are thinking about fair finish concrete, it has to be done in a very systematic way, in a slow and steady manner, right from production to your final finish. All precautions need to be taken, then only you can achieve.
Yes, sir. Sir, thank you, sir. Two more questions I will take. One is from Dr. B. Kameshwar Rao. Already this question was asked by already answered actually, but just I will, because this is a common question and every ready mix company or any concrete production site, this question is there. That's why just one more, just one short answer for this. How to do moisture correction to the concrete on rainy days? When the, I mean to say, Dr. B. Kameshwara asks when it is raining probably. Yes.
That's what I said. No, during rainy season, take the moisture from the bin first. Okay, preferably if you are able to open the gate and take a sample, because all the water will get deposited at the bottom. If you are able to take it out, take it. And since the moisture rain will totally wet all the aggregate, there will be fluctuations in water level. So from the water content, whatever you have established with the moisture content, add one more percentage. Suppose if you have 5% of moisture, correct it for 6%. Increase it by 1% so that you are able to accommodate the variations. And visually have a check of the concrete after making a correction. How is it? In case if you feel that the slump is more, furthermore reduce it, because we are not able to exactly control the moisture what is carried on the surface of the aggregate since it has rained, and having a realistic control is very difficult. Okay. In case of a very heavy rain, don't do any concrete, please stop it, because that is going to spoil the whole concrete. But always in the monsoon season, have a correction of 1% more than what you have estimated in the lab. That is how practically you can control it, but have a visual check. This will help you to produce a good quality concrete.
Thank you, sir. Next question. Mr. Omkar Bendre is asking this question. What if we develop actual regression curve based on correlation of actual cube results?
Can you repeat
Can we
it?
do this? What if we develop actual regression curve based on correlation of actual cube results? So
Actual cube results means again, we have to work out on different grades of concrete with respect to the cement content and water cement ratio and strength. We need to work out at least a sample of 30 results. 30 results means 90 specimens where you have to test and make it out. Individually, you have to work out what is the average strength, then where you can plot and you can find out a regression on case-to-case basis. It is not that you can make it as a mandatory one or a common one, because every material or every cement or every site operations or the type of concrete differs. So depending upon the individual grades where you can make it out. So if you have a series of results, then a common results where you can make it out. Suppose you are doing only OPC cement. Even if you take an OPC cement for different brands, there will be variations in strength. Suppose if you are going with the supplementary materials, again, the property is going to change. The type of mixer machine, what you are going to use for producing concrete, there will be variance. A lot of variations are there. So with all these things, you have to develop a curve for the particular project site. Then probably in one project, first phase, suppose if you are making something, then that results can be used for the subsequent project site. But generally that data is so far it is no one has made and it is available.
Sir, thank you very much, sir. One more question I will just pick up, sir. Just a lot of questions are there. I'm afraid we cannot take all these questions. Probably some of these questions can be answered later. One question is a very simple question by Yamuna Bhagavat. She is asking, the question is, what is the right procedure for adding polypropylene fibers?
Right procedure for adding polypropylene fiber in concrete.
Yeah,
First of all, it again depends on what is the dosage of fiber that you are dosing it and what is the aspect ratio of the fiber. Main thing is the fiber need to be dispersed along with the aggregate first, then you have to mix it well. Whether it is polypropylene or a steel fiber, whatever you are doing it, mix it along with the aggregate first, then the mixing should happen. After that, you have to dose the cement. If the steel fiber is of not glued type, if it is a glued type, have a sufficient slump and you can mix it. Especially for polypropylene, dose it along with an aggregate, dispose it, then go with the mixing.
And there is another very interesting question about, sir, for a 40-year-old M20 concrete structure, how much strength can be considered on present day? Means is hypothetical. This Mr. Naresh Shanbag is asking this question. M20 concrete. It is a 40-year-old M20 concrete structure. How much strength can be considered on present day?
40 years old.
Yes, yes.
So 40 years old.
Yes, yes.
No, 40 years old structure is okay, but main thing is that is the reason you have to take some core and test it. Normally, there will be some reduction in strength. Okay, but how much you can consider means we can't say, because it's again depends on what the quality or what methods the concrete has been poured. Better to go with proper core, test it properly. The main issue what happens is the core testing. If the care is not taken in testing, it leads to a lot of misleading results. Because the plane surface on the top of the core, generally as per the codal provisions, it is 0.05 millimeter variance. So the plainness and your capping materials. So if it is 0.0 and your rate of loading is perfect, you are able to get it. Better to go for a core sample, evaluate it. Then your rebound test or UPV, better to go, in case if you want to evaluate it, go for a core, evaluate the results. That's the best way. Because we can't say what is the reduction in strength and all, because lot of thing could have happened. It would have carbonated, or in case of chloride entrainment, it would have got affected also on the surface and all. So we'll not be able to predict exactly what it is. Go for a core test, test it, evaluate.
Okay, sir. I think one more
Because
question.
I don't think any data is available with respect to the age. What is reduction in strength?
One more question was there, and I don't know, I'm not saying now, but I will remember and tell. This question is about what is how many years the increase of strength will be there when we do OPC GGBS mix? Means, is the concrete strength going on increasing? How many years? What will be the increase? This kind of a question is asked actually.
What personally I have seen in laboratory trial, there is an increase up to 6 months. After that, the increase is hardly anything, maybe 1 or 2%. Even we tested some of the cubes. Recently, we tested some of the concrete sample what we have made in 2016. After 5 years, we never observed any much of an increase in strength. It was almost the same. Where what I have tested is an M60 concrete. Hardly there is a difference of 1 MPa from what I have achieved in 2016 to 2021, where we have gone with a blend of OPC, fly ash, and microsilica, and in certificate one. It's again depends on. But most of the cases, more than 6 months, I have not seen personally much of an increase.
Okay, sir. Sonu Patel, he has asked this question. Anyway, I think there are a lot of questions, but I think we will we don't have much time actually. Thank you very much, sir. You have we have taken a lot of your time. Maybe almost half an hour extra we have taken. 7 o'clock we were supposed to close. And
topic is like that. What to do?
Yeah, the questions, all the questions we cannot satisfy. I mean to say, we cannot answer all the questions. So many questions are there. Maybe some of the questions we will send it to you, and then it can be answered, and we'll send it to the people who have asked actually. And I would like to ask our MD, Mr. Shelvi Fernandez, to make concluding remarks.
Good evening, sir.
Shelvi, sir.
Yeah, good evening.
Yes.
Good evening, friends. Today it was a very unique session actually. Which has come to most of the time the presenter presents and the audience listens to the presenter actually. It is that around 75% of the time is spent by the presenter. Today it was a very unique session when Kaushik sir has suggested that why can't we go for this question and session as suggested by LS Kannan sir. I was little apprehensive. What this is the first time we are seeing in a webinar where only a question and session on a particular topic is being taken actually. I hope the future webinars and seminars will also turn into this particular trend actually, because very few people are ready to take the question and session. Most of the time we only listen to the presentation. So it was, we can see that it is a very successful, today's webinar was very much successful with that lot of questions firing in from all corners of India and abroad. And our presenter, our LS Kannan, head concrete L&D department, has taken it all and answered it very confidently. And still more questions are still pending actually, which I think if given time, I think it may go up to even 9 o'clock also. Still more questions will be there actually. So thank you very much, sir, for your experience shows how beautifully and correctly and it has been answered. The questions actually you have justified the today's subject. What very subject is a very interesting subject, and most of the people have got a lot of queries which has been answered properly. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very
Today,
much. Thank
yes,
you.
sir.
Thank you all. Yeah.
Today coming to this one, I thank the ICI Mangaluru chapter chairman, secretary, and treasurer for jointly organizing this particular webinar with QCrete Ready Mix India Private Limited. And thanks to all the, I thank all the participants who had spent valuable time in just not listening to the presentation today. It was all the questions asked from the audience, which was very promptly answered by our expert, Mr. LS Kannan. I thank all of them. And I'm Shelly Fernandez from QCrete Ready Mix India Private Limited. Today's session, we are coming to an end of this one. We'll come back again with a new topic for the next webinar. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
Thank you all
Thank you.
for your patient listening. I hope I have done justice to the questions, whatever
Thanks,
I
sir. You
tried
have
to
done
ask.
wonderfully.
Yes,
Yeah.
Definitely. Yes.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Namaste. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shelly, sir.
Yeah.
Namaste. Thank you, Kannan. Thank you.
Malik
Thank you.
Baliga, thank you.
Mr. Baliga. Hello.
Left.
Thank you so
Mr.
much,
Baliga,
sir.
sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you,
Thank you,
Baliga.
Kaushik. Bye.
Yes, sir.
Thank
Yes,
you.
sir.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes, yes. Thank you, sir.